I think we actually nailed that.
Sure. I definitely
nailed like a coffin lid.
Oh,
yeah.
Also, just because we haven't had one of these in a good long while.
Gonna need one this week.
Oh, no.
Yeah, baby.
I have some earth-shattering news that may change the entire complexion of how the public interacts with one another from this point forward.
How's that?
And the world has been hinging on whether or not this was a possibility, and I am glad to announce Rian Johnson and I are on speaking terms again.
Rian Johnson.
The director for the Star Wars movies?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
dear God. Sorry, that was such a weird pull. I thought you were talking about like someone like we know in our personal life. So
wait,
was
I right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh!
For the first... Wait, what's the episode number? What's today?
It's 43 today.
So- So 43% Michael, he finally understood a reference before you or I,
Oh,
Shane.
my goodness.
As the what do you mean before I understood the reference? I said the
I
reference.
understood the reference before you
he
even
finally
knew
understood.
the reference. Ooh.
I mean, a broken clock is still right twice a day.
Well, Michael's still going to blame the technology behind it.
But I watched Knives Out yesterday, and it officially brought me along.
How are we so similar but so different, where I was kind of like disenchanted at the end of Knives Out. Like, I enjoyed it and I had a lot of fun with it, but I was like, yeah, well, that was a good like once over. But Last Jedi, I'm like, yeah, I'll fucking suck that dick all day.
We are not going to devolve into another argument about Star Wars because you and I are never going to be on the same planet. You're Hoth, I'm Endor. It's just we're different people.
You have a bunch of little furry people. Oh wait, no, that's their moon. That's Endor's moon. Never
No,
mind.
they're actually furries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are half Wookiees, which is important to point out.
Right. I'm glad that you enjoyed Knives Out, and I did not say that it was a bad movie. In particular, Daniel Craig is just immaculate. I love that
Exquisite.
man. I love it when he puts on very hokey Southern accents. Like Logan Lucky? Was that the other one that he kind of plays he has a simpleton-esque accent?
I have not seen that film.
Apparently it's from the dude who did fucking Oceans or whatever, but I've never seen an Oceans movie.
Fucking
so
Oceans?
really...
It's not like...
Yes, the fucking Oceans.
You can't get pregnant if you fucking an ocean. I heard that.
It's before Sea Sluts, actually, as I recall from the canonical touch of the cinema fiends.
So before we were rolling, Shane, like right before we were rolling, because of that word, you mentioned Limp Bizkit. And you know how on social media over the past couple of months, there's been just an uprise in people wanting your top 10 albums? Or your top 10 of anything?
No, I don't, John.
I wasn't aware of
that.
that.
That's right. You don't stay on there. But
my social media blackout existed long before it was a trendy thing that everybody's jumped on. And that is the closest I'm going to get to any sort of political commentary on this episode.
Remind me, I have a story, and it's actually it's not a funny story. It's an actual story. And
I'm intrigued.
It came into my head last night, and I've been reminding myself all throughout the day not to drop it. But anyway, so the Facebook post that has been making the rounds, or Instagram, or wherever you beg for attention, myself included.
Oh, I like it.
Essentially, it is your top 10 albums, just the album cover. You know, you can't share why, you just share the picture of the album cover.
The one, oh, okay. I was gonna say. Then there's the other one where it is Bill Clinton sitting on the floor with a series of records. I have seen that one.
That format I love.
Oh, so it's just the picture with no context.
Yeah. There was a record that just kept popping up, and this is before I went through like a little purge, because I've just been deleting everybody left and right. Just it's effective. Like if someone was breathing next to me the wrong way, I've just been deleting them.
You are me in my mid-20s. Congratulations, you caught up.
I'm so glad I didn't breathe wrong next to you yesterday when I went into your work. Whew.
Well, you'll find out in about 2 weeks, won't you?
Shit.
Did you see that thing I posted on Instagram, John?
Anyway,
yeah.
there's a theme, and I saw at least 4 people in a day to 2 day period post Limp Bizkit's Significant Other. And I realized that I dog on Limp Bizkit all the time for good reason, because the music doesn't hold up well.
It is
but
dated.
a lot of the people though, like they would like in the comments be like, oh my god, the guitar writing, or like what West Borland and blah 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 blah, go over like the technical proficiencies here and there. So I was bored, and what else am I doing with my time? So I just threw Significant Other on, and I only got halfway through. But there was one point, there's like one song, almost, I think, track 4 or 5. It starts off, and it sounds super modern to today's terms. And I was like, Jesus, okay. And it's just instrumental at this point. I'm getting hyped. And then Fred Durst comes in with his terrible lyrics. And it wasn't, I'll give him credit, it wasn't even his melody, because the melody was solid. He wasn't like traditional, oh, that Fred Durst. He was like being subdued, like you probably like 5 or 6 years later when they started covering more popular, or like, you know, they did Behind Blue Eyes, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, so that guy actually can kind of sing here and there. But yeah,
giving him a little credit.
Yeah, it was his lyrics that sunk that song.
Fred Durst is the only human being that I've encountered who rhymes a word with the exact same word and thinks that he can get away with that. So I can't give him any credit. The only thing I will give Fred Durst credit for is that the world as we know it would not have gotten the overall exposure to Cold that it got without Fred Durst, because he's the one who signed them and put out their first record.
Oh, wasn't he behind Stained also?
Yes, but that is, I will give far less credit for Stained hitting the mass media, because I'm sure
they
that band probably would
yeah.
have hit it. Cold, I feel like, is such an acquired taste for people. And I was looking back at my high school poetry books that we had, because I was the editor of a literary journal, as hoity-toity as that sounds for a 16, 17-year-old.
And you realized that Fred Durst stole your entire like front half, like freshman, sophomore year.
No, I was better than Fred Durst at 15, and that's saying something.
So what would your version of Break Stuff be? Like if you had to rewrite Break Stuff... You can circle back. It can be an esoteric pull later on.
My poor brain, John. You can't expect me to have to pull something that banal out of my ass.
I quoted that song to Becky the other day, and the reason I knew that she has way better taste than I do is because she had no idea what the fuck I was talking about.
The only chocolate starfish she has ever encountered was yours after Manscaped.
I think what I said was, it's all about the he said, she said bullshit.
Indeed. No, the 17-year-old angsty Shane was apparently a definite Scooter acolyte, without question. It is heavy. But, Sigourney segue, speaking of Manscaped, I'm going to have to write a strongly worded letter to a series of individuals. And, Steven, this is where you need to jump the episode at least 3 minutes. But I received my Manscaped starter kit. And when they say you cannot cut your ball sack with their device,
oh my god,
they're wrong.
Oh no!
What kind of scrot are you working with, man?
Oh,
I mean, there are more folds than a pirate flag.
Yarr.
I understand.
What is it, like a topographical map of Utah down there?
Basically, if you feel an avocado, with baby oil on it, that's basically what my testicles feel like.
I think Future Me's gonna skip 3 minutes ahead of this episode.
But I will say it is a revelation. This is not anything that they are sponsoring, because as you know, we don't have any sort of import, but I have another segue with that as well. But I have nothing but a rave review for it. They actually have deodorant that you use. So they have a testicle deodorant that you can put on.
Not odorant.
Yes, and then a refreshing spray that you put on and then air dry. I'm telling you, it smells fantastic.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I have never been so ecstatic to touch my testicles and then smell afterwards as I have been after getting this package.
Okay, before I tell you what I used to refer to nut odorant as, sometimes I do that. Like it's one of those habits where, just we're guys and Becky said, well, she's like, do you ever... Oh yeah, of course you have. Yeah, you touch your dick all the time. She was saying essentially like how she doesn't like just like play with her own tits, and me, like if I was a girl, same dumb brain that I have, I would be knocking those honkers around all day. But yeah, like I have a hand down my pants when I'm like idle and I don't even realize that I'm doing it. So then you bring your hand back up and you're like, oh, I worked out. Okay, that's what that. But I used to refer to nut odorant as Gold Bond, like the green or the mint green one.
All right.
The winter green, yeah. And you just slap that, go down there, and it hurts like fucking hell, but it's worth it.
See, I'm not trying to get to the John Watkins, my dick hasn't fallen off, neither have my testicles. I'm not trying to induce that state. I just want to be fresh.
I feel like maybe I accidentally like Dr. Manhattaned my dick and balls when I was a teenager by just... Oh my god, Shane.
So they're glowing indistinctly, and then they start multiplying when you and Becky are having sex.
Like, what if I just did so many dumb things and I got hit so hard in the balls, or like I did that nut odorant stuff like so like feverishly that I killed, like, maybe I have a zombie dick and like that's the reason it hasn't fallen off.
It's the undick.
Well, saying that we didn't have stroke, how's that for a segue?
Oh, shit.
We actually did get an email, gentlemen, asking if we wanted to be a brand ambassador.
Yes.
No, you have to listen to the terms and conditions first.
Oh.
It's for, like, a fitness company. And I don't know whether they've looked at us, but the opening line of the email, which I actually have, I can pull this up.
Yes,
I have kept this open.
Now, before you read it, does this mark you... Does this strike you as spam, or does this actually seem legit? Because
I responded to it because I want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes, as is my usual fashion.
Is this someone messaging our band account being like, hey, I heard you need representation. Would you like to be on a record label?
Possible. But this is... I've gotten this from... It's Brand X, because we don't know whether or not we're actually doing this.
Fair.
So before we lampoon it, I'm just going to say... The only reason I brought this up is the initial email tickled me to no end, but it's, hey, Disinformed podcast, all one word because that's how our email is formatted.
Understandable, yeah.
Already off to a bad start.
I stumbled upon your Instagram account.
Ooh.
And it looks like you're absolutely killing it.
This is also not faring well.
Now, if killing it, by that do you mean that our Instagram account
It's
looks
dead.
like a fucking graveyard,
I was
which
gonna
the
say,
activity is relegated to rats and small nightly creatures?
If by killing it they mean we are showing the antithesis of the platform, then sure. Anyway.
Yeah. So they're just asking if we would like to be a brand ambassador. It's like, oh dear Lord, if you think that we are actually going to churn you anything other than disgust and disdain.
How much do they want us to pay them?
Well, the terms are very agreeable because we get 25% off of product purchasing when we order. And our fans would get 15% off of their order, and we get 10% of whatever it is that we generate for them business-wise.
So, pretty much nothing.
So, you sign up, we get 25% off of their products, and they get nothing from us.
Yes.
Yeah,
sure. I mean,
pretty
fuck
good
it.
to me, yeah.
The closer we are to danger.
Indeed, the further we are from bankruptcy. Well,
yeah, I mean, fuck it. You know what? 1/3 approval.
I already said yes before I heard the terms and conditions,
All
so.
We have, I mean, at this point, there's an old joke that essentially you walk up to a very attractive young lady. This is not going to be politically correct. This is an old joke, and I'm going to put that before John says clip that I am putting a big asterisk and a caveat here. But the old joke is you walk up to a very attractive young lady, and you said, would you have sex with me for $2.5 million? At which point, if the individual says yes and seems agreeable to the prospect, you say, oh, well, would you have sex with me for $5? At which point, if they respond, no, what do you think I am? It's like, well, we've already established you're a whore. Now we're just haggling over price.
Jeez. Bruh.
It's really rough. It's very terrible. And
I feel like
understand.
that got put back in your head after reading that scene in American Gods when Wednesday is talking to Easter.
Yes. Let's,
just
like rabbit fornication. That's how I like
10
them.
fingers, 10 toes, and...
I like them young, pale-skinned, and buxom as
Clip it.
live. I want curves like a goddamn canyon highway. Just give it to me that way.
Cool.
Yeah. And I'm lost.
So, John, tell us the tale that you have going so that we can start giving a little bit, because, one of the things we're trying to prompt these days is having conversations about the state of the union at the present.
Yeah, I do think it's important.
So have at it.
I think what Shane is saying is that not saying anything is worse than tapping into it. So
okay.
I remembered a story from when I was 15. And it was my friend group then was basically the first band that I was in. And I mean, that kind of trickles down to my whole life now, but I think I'm just better at choosing people now, except for Shane. No, just kidding. Shane.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm the notable exception to this rule.
No, but so I didn't have my license yet. My friend Joe had his license, and he had this shitty little beat up car, but super proud of it, as you are of your first vehicle ever. And we would do the typical, you go to band practice, he would drive us around, we'd just go hit, any excuse to be in a car. So one evening we drove to our bass player's house to work on some stuff, and we decided after we left we'd go see our friend who was closing up shop at, a Taco Bell. And we were driving towards the Taco Bell, and we were stopping at a light, and someone hit us. Rear-ended us hard. They didn't stop. They were going 40 miles per hour, and they hit the back of the car.
So and they would have been front page Pornhub. That's how hard they hit you.
Basically, yeah. And I always think about that in a different context too, because I'm always, if I'm a passenger, I like to lean, into the center. And for some reason or another, I wasn't leaning in the center, but the whole back glass shattered, and a huge piece of glass shot up through the front. So I always think, if I had been how I usually am, I don't know where I'd be. But all that aside, we get the car pulled over into an apartment complex. We start, call the cops and everything. He got hit so hard that his license plate fell off as well. So the moment we were safely in the complex, he takes his license plate and he throws it into the shattered back, just to have it somewhere.
Yeah.
And my friend Joe, he wasn't poor, but he wasn't. He was in that gray. Yeah, he was in the gray area between poor and middle, if that makes sense. Not to say, not me being oh, look at me, blah blah blah, but
to paint a picture.
Two laptops.
Yeah.
No, comparatively, I was in a better household in general, just without getting too deep into it.
Yeah.
So he was effectively almost living in his car. I think he was about a senior in high school at this point. And, just anything you can imagine. And also he was not a cleanly person. He wouldn't throw away his cups. He wouldn't throw away his bags from fast food places. It was just all piled in the back of his car. It was very stereotypical of someone owning property for the first time. It's theirs and whatever. But finally the police show up, and they're doing the whole, ID, registration, blah, 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 talking to everyone involved. And for some reason or another, or not for some reason or another, they needed his license plate. So he told him, it's just in the back of his car. So he turns around and he goes to grab the license plate. And at that moment, the cop draws his gun, points it, and shouts for us to stop what we're doing. And I have never been so scared in my entire life, because I've never had a gun, up to that point, never had a gun pointed at me. I don't think I have since. And the reason being is because my dumbass friend had an airsoft gun in his car, and you could see the orange tip, but they looked really authentically real. And all we had to do was just be like, oh, it's fake. Just look at the orange tip. And just like that, it was fine. And I think about that now because it really shines a light on the privilege that we have as white men, white people. If
you can add the man to that. That's
it's fine.
Yeah.
That story just hit me out of nowhere. Everything that's going on right now, it's just so fucked up to think about that. The privilege that we have that we don't earn.
There is the closest correlation that I've ever had with any of this, and this is in no way saying it's... I really have appreciated the one meme that I see consistently these days of the I don't understand, but I can attempt to appreciate and try to sympathize. I grew up in an environment where there were a significant amount of hate groups that were functioning, one of which was an Aryan Brotherhood group that was very well known and somewhat pronounced. So once I had shaved my head, I managed to make a lot of people exceedingly uncomfortable unintentionally. So the pocket joke from that point forward for me was, as I would always say, you know, this is, you know, a solar panel for the sex machine or whatever other nonsense I want to say, is like, this is not a statement of political ideation. Like,
Right.
I'm not trying to say anything here. And I have made a point of being a little bit more aware of who I'm interacting with and how I am interacting with them. But I have had any number of instances where I have interacted with officers of the law or security guards or other things, and having worked their job and having done similar, and have an uncle who was a sheriff and family that worked with attorneys my entire life, I understand both sides of the coin almost acutely because I've been in both shoes. So I can sympathize with individuals who your aesthetic is the thing that you're being judged on. And I don't even have even close to a minute understanding of someone who does that moment to moment every instant of your day. There's no part of your life where you go through where you're not under that scrutiny. But I have had enough instances where I can empathize with that. And it's really difficult to try to gain back ground on someone who has already made a judgment call on you purely from looking at you.
Yeah.
And so to then take that and put it to the nth degree and exponentially grow that, I can't even begin to fathom how difficult it's got to be to just leave your house, go about your day-to-day activities, and then try to make it through. And it's just really unfortunate. The thing that always floats back to me, and then I'll toss the ball to Michael for a little commentary here as well. My friend group when I was in high school was routinely referred to by the faculty members that I hung out with, because I identified more with the adults than I did my peer group.
As you have mentioned.
They would,
Yeah, it checks out.
Yeah. They would refer to my friends, the people I was actually seen with frequently, as the island of misfit toys. I don't tend to gravitate towards individuals who are popular and socially acceptable, who are well-adjusted or balanced. I grabbed the people who... Indeed. Particularly when I was young, for some reason, I wanted to... A good friend of mine, when we went into 8th grade, he had been sucking his thumb in public, in school, until we were in 8th grade. And that was a really good friend of mine. He was a really clever, ingenious individual. He told a lot of fun stories. His name is Josh. I really enjoyed spending time with him. But the guy was a social outcast. I basically lived in the losers club because those are the people I hung out with by choice. I would specifically go try to find people who didn't have friends and befriend them because I know what it feels like to be excluded and kind of ostracized for no good reason. And I think that if you could apply that mentality to others, that's not an attempt to brag, but just saying that's my mentality. And I've always felt that way, is that I want to find the person who's not being sort of fellowshipped or brought along by other people in the room. And those are the people I want to befriend. So shaking hands across the aisle has always been kind of my personal perspective on things. And I feel like we would get along a lot better in our day-to-day existence if more people tried to adopt that notion of just, well,
Absolutely.
Let's not just stick with, oh, well, they're wearing the right clothes, they obviously come from the right side of town, and they're saying all the cool hip things, they have the brand new iPhone, and so I feel like I can befriend that person. Oh, look at their kicks, they must be cool.
Right, and I feel, and at our heart, we are not this podcast, so I know we'll get back into more candid conversation after, but I feel like it would be kind of tone deaf not to at least, say something. But I feel like essentially what you're putting down is just kind of the awareness of systematic racism. Yep. And the fact that, there are a lot of problems that need to be addressed and they need to be fixed. And it starts with the system that was built. So
individuals.
Sorry. I was about to seek into my own thing. So if you wanted to say like
as a summation,
yeah.
The thing that really frustrates me is individuals in a position of power who feel like it is their right to belittle and beguile individuals. And I'm not making any further political commentary than that, but we have cultivated a stance in this country that is a very separatist ideology, which is there's either if you're a Republican or a Democrat, you're a liberal or, you have an agenda.
Gray. Yeah.
and no one wants to play with each other anymore. It's these are my toys and I'm taking them over here and you play with your toys over there. And we need to stop looking across the aisle that way as these are my enemies, and we need to start trying to find more commonalities and understand people and give a little grace. And that's just not happening from the top down. And I feel like we had leadership that was a little more emblematic of understanding and acceptance and tolerance, and that has somewhat gone the way of the dodo. And I hope that we can get that back.
Yeah.
I don't know what the key factors are, but conversations like this hopefully are a catalyst.
Yeah. And also, I'm glad to for the majority, I am surrounded by people who share that sentiment, which on top of like a shit sandwich of a week, it's always nice to look around you and know the company that you keep. So
yeah,
good on you, man.
Good on all of you, I think.
Michael.
That's actually a good point to mention, like the company that you keep, because there's the company that you consciously keep, like your friends, and then there's the company that you're kind of stuck with, which is being your family.
Oh, joy. Yeah.
Yes. My parents they're conservative, but not as partisan as most other conservatives would be. But considering that they grew up in Arizona and spent most of their lives in Arizona, they are racist to some degree. And that clouded a lot of my thinking when I was younger, to where I didn't understand that there was actual wage gaps. I just thought I thought racism was fixed when I was a kid. And that was something that I needed to be taught, which I needed friends to tell me. Like, the only thing that I had really experienced that was different from a lot of other people was that, and it's funny every time I think about it, like, it was sexuality. I'm straight as can be. It's weird. But
you throw dick like a gay man.
You'd assume so, but I don't even know how to throw a dick. Do you throw it like a boomerang? Do you like shot put it? But anyway,
you'll
javelin.
Know. You'll know when you know.
Yeah. Okay. It'll come to me intuitively. I'll
or
feel,
in you.
Fair. But out of my 3 closest friends that I had for my whole life, one of them very gay. I actually finally met his husband the last time he visited a couple years ago. My only major female friend, she's bisexual. And then my closest friend of all time, who I have mentioned before, I think on this podcast, is trans. Yeah. So, and when we were all very young, when we were children, she wasn't very social. Neither was she very like overtly like romantic in any way. Her first girlfriend was in like I think like a junior or senior in high school, but now she's polyamorous as well, so she's got like 3, at least that I'm aware of, 3 girlfriends and everything. And it's cool that like I was at least exposed to a lot of that when I was young, because that definitely like guided my, like, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not getting proposition or anything like that. So whoever you love is great. But
yeah, your enjoyment of those people wasn't like dependent upon what they did.
Mm-hmm. And I got to learn and understand sexuality is not a choice. It's who you are. It's what you're born into. You were born this way, to quote, a great song and all that other jazz. But like, for some reason, for me, like the racism, the ethnicity didn't click for me for the longest time. And it took people not metaphorically bashing my head in and making me realize that, hey, like, this is an issue. Just because it was an issue in the past doesn't mean it's not an issue now. And that's something that I'm very, very thankful for, that I was shown that, because I was that kid that, I wouldn't say pompous, but I was that kind of like kid that was like, oh, why do we have this, like, quotas and all the, that sort of thing? Because I thought racism was already done. We shouldn't have this, everything. Like, why are they getting more stuff than me as a white male? Because I didn't realize the kind of privilege that I had. And I'll say it 100 times, and I'll say it 100 more. I'm so thankful that my friends are very, very open-minded and very, very forward and freely. I'm losing my train of thought here, but I'm just grateful for the friends that I have that are very supportive in that, and very just openly supportive to everyone. Gestures outwardly.
It's really hard to function in an ideological stance if you're not familiar with it.
Yes.
And I would say, I think all of us here come from fairly conservative families.
We do.
And the one thing that I can point to that I really, I hate beating it over the head, but it's something that I feel defines my character. For me, I've always operated under the notion that you judge someone by their works, to use, the
100%.
Christian phrase. And I've really, adhered to something that, Dr. King used to say of the quality and content of their character. And those are the things that always were kind of the, resonating bells for me, for other people, is I look at someone and see how they interact with other people. Are they respectful? Are they kind? Are they caring? And those are the qualities that I like. It's not looking at someone and going like, man, you could bounce a quarter off that man's ass.
It's funny you say that.
Because he thought that earlier today.
Yeah. Well, I'm back at work, and like my third or fourth shift. It was yesterday. So I had this couple walk in, and they were probably maybe early to mid 50s, and they're both white, and they looked, if I didn't know for a fact that they weren't transient, I would have almost assumed that they were homeless by how they were carrying themselves, like as far as like their gait, or the man's gait, and also he had a very severe speech impediment. So I was kind of bracing myself, like expecting a very rough conversation to start happening. But then once you just talk to people, and I was like, hey, how's your day going? And we ended up having like an amazing conversation, and they were bizarre, super bizarre, but they were 100% harmless and 110% like a joy to be around. So yeah, definitely looking at who they are, who we are.
You really do wish that we could sort of go back to the conversation that we've had episodes ago about, if we were blind, what would attract you? What are the things that would sort of grab your interest or pique you, and how you determine your friends and your loved ones. And I feel we would benefit immensely from being able to do that from time to time, of just remove the aesthetic and the trappings of that and just get back to fundamentals.
Just taking it back to the Pepsi challenge.
Yes, it's a taste test as opposed to anything else. Or, play it by Braille for those of us who have Roman hands. But
okay. So now we've been talking a lot about acceptance and, being around people and, accepting people for who they are. So I'm going to be as gentle as I can, Michael.
Oh, no. What are you going to...
Did you watch Interstellar last night?
Yes, I did.
Oh, see, I judge him by his character.
I didn't message you afterwards because I had to do some house searching stuff with my girlfriend.
You can just say that the movie depressed the hell out of you, and you were too much of a blubbery mess.
I will say that this was the closest I've ever come to crying during a movie.
The ghost really Murph scene, it turns me into a big rubbery one. I can't. Blubbery, rubbery? Why are you looking at me that way?
I mean, rubbery would be the word, but the ghost love scene.
So no, Murph. He said the ghost Murph scene.
Oh, the ghost Murph scene.
I don't know what kind of Interstellar are you talking about.
Yeah, did you watch Interstellar on Pornhub?
I'm thinking John took like a hard right, and we got to Whoopi Goldberg being, infested by Patrick Swayze, getting down on Demi Moore, and I'm like,
damn,
weird pull, John, but okay, I guess.
I can't even call that a segue.
Yours is like a shocked impressed, not like a shocked grossed out.
I was like, that doesn't strike me as a film in your canon, but all right, back to, yes, Murph and the ghost, yes, yeah.
No, I almost teared up when he, spoilers for Interstellar.
It's too late.
Whatever. When he ejects himself from the main ship, right after Tars, the robot, did the same.
Oh, yeah.
And he quoted, like, you gotta leave something behind. Like, I almost cried there. Like, and that's just because, like, as a person, like, I don't know why I approach movies as if I'm emotionally dead. I can enjoy a movie, but for some reason I just don't get emotional about it. I don't know why. I feel like it's a failing on my part because I wish I could cry during movies.
I feel like I was that way probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I don't know what not clicked. Something changed, and all of a sudden I can definitely I don't weep, like I don't turn into like the person like you see like bunches and bunches of tears going down their face, but I definitely now I can at least self acknowledge and like I'll get watery, and some movies in particular will get me good, and I think it's Michael is dead inside. I am almost but not quite dead inside, and Shane is comparatively super woke.
I fall to pieces at the drop of a hat, and this has been documented. Melissa and I routinely kind of point out I cry at books, I cry at movies with little provocation at all. So yeah, Interstellar, by the time I get through it, I feel like I've had a head cold for a month and a half because I have been sobbing through the bulk of that picture.
I'm particularly getting goosebumps just trying or like remembering things from it right now.
The sequence where he's getting the communiques from his kids after he has been down on the planet
for 7
and
goddamn
realizes
years.
The amount of time that's passed, and he's seeing his adult children speaking to him, and he's just going to pieces. Watching someone cry will kill me at any given interval, but that sequence in particular really resonated with me and struck hard. But that whole movie is just a giant gaping wound for me. I basically start out primed for bawling. It's actually, I had a relationship die on me because I went and watched The Arrival with this person.
Oh,
That's
is that the Natalie Portman joint? The dude who...
this is Amy... it's Jeremy Renner and Amy...
The woman that plays...
Adams.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
It's so essentially similar... I'm not going to spoil the film for you.
I got it.
Yeah.
The woman that plays Lois Lane in the most recent.
It's they're deciphering language essentially.
Yes.
Basically, yes. They are the ones making first contact with an alien entity that has come down. They have to figure out what the aliens are trying to communicate to them. And I'll save everybody the spoilers. But the end of that movie, I was blubbering like you had just told me my mother died, and I had to hold her in my arms as she went. Like I was falling to pieces by how touching
very
that was.
Understandable.
And I looked at her, and she was stone-faced, just looking at the screen like this was the biggest bunch of shit she had ever seen in her life. And I, at that moment, had that like, this is a zombie. I'm with a human being that's incapable of emotions, and I'm not going to put my genitals anywhere near them anymore. I've decided.
Can you say what their name rhymes with?
No.
Oh, it's not anyone you've met.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I don't care.
No. If you're thinking of the Liana, that was the Kevin Smith thing. It was easily enough.
Got it.
So.
Goodness.
Speaking of things that make you cry, I got into a major funk last night because I've been reading like a fiend. So I went through a series of books by M.R. James, and then got into it's old. Like he's a contemporary of H.P. Lovecraft. He was a British horror writer from mid 1800s. Really interesting stuff, very eloquent, very well written. And then I flash forward to I got an audiobook. I did a free trial of Audible and got If It Bleeds, which is the most recent Stephen King release.
Oh, at first you had my curiosity.
Indeed. Well, the titular story, that's a word I all too infrequently get to utilize, is a direct sequel to The Outsider. And features Holly Gibney, who is a character from the Mr. Mercedes series, who is also in The Outsider. I have not read The Outsider yet.
Nor have I.
So to get a sequel to the book basically is somewhat deflating, but it actually made me want to read The Outsider even more. So I ordered it, and I now have it in my possession. But I say all of this to say that as what I was going to get me through to that, once I finished that book, because I got through it as an audiobook, I was done with it in a day and a half.
Do you just like sit down on the couch and listen, or do you walk around? Or
I walked around, so I was listening to it while I exercised, and then I was playing video games to it as well, so I got through a lot of my basketball stuff while listening to it.
Nice.
But the long story short, too late on all of this, what I was leading to is I started reading Hearts in Atlantis, which was the first time I've gotten into that as well.
Yeah, okay.
Which has, Dark Tower tie-ins. And
which he hasn't met yet.
Yes. And so that depressed the ever-loving hell out of me. And I have to say that the one thing that I'm finding is starting to really get to me with King is young children and teenagers who are being picked on, physically or mentally abused, and then being abused by bullies is really starting to get to me. I feel like I have to take like a palate cleanser for anybody who has a trigger with that. Particularly once you get through it, like that's pretty cathartic in general, but it's still really hard to get through. But this is not a major spoiler or anything, but in the course of this story, the main character's girlfriend, and they're both like 11 at this point, gets beaten with a bat by 3 high school boys to the point that it dislocates her shoulder, fractures ribs, and, they have to take her and try to deal with this. And he gets back at the guy later by beating him with a baseball bat. But the whole sequence was really staggering, and it did something to me. And of course, it's 1960 where this is taking place, so there is a lot of tacit racism, and the N-word gets bandied around a lot, and it's of the time. But it's interesting having read that, particularly at the time that we are. It was kind of emotionally devastating, and I finished the section for the low men in the yellow coats, which is kind of the Dark Tower tie-in, and I got through that section, and I took a brief pause, and I watched some basketball to bring myself back to level and get balanced out emotionally, because I was not going to keep soldiering on. It made me cry. I had to take a break and get myself through. There's been some interesting emotional stuff happening, just in the world and then personally, so we're all kind of swimming. But
I'm glad you brought up Stephen King, because we are just basically 25% a Stephen King podcast. So I am doing my homework so that I can listen to the Stand podcast with Mike Flanagan. The first episode's live now, and I have about 60 more pages to read until I have the required reading out of the way before I listen.
Nice.
And much like the Big Lebowski, the second time through is way more enjoyable when you know where everything is going and where everything is being set up. And you were touching on like him and how he kind of like zeroes in on the young. I feel partly how that hits so hard is because he fleshes out characters so well. In general, the Kingslingers podcast pointed this out in Drawing of the Three, that he spends paragraphs upon paragraphs giving side characters entire relatable, tangible backstories, and then you never see them again. Like he draws them so well that you're like, oh, this person's going to be a major player, and then literally they're ghosted. And I think about that with The Stand, because the first 115 pages, because that's where I'm at right now, is just introduction of characters and their circle around them in the midst of a viral pandemic eradicating the United States, or the world rather. But yeah, Stephen King, I think, is just really he's the man.
He is exemplary at creating characters and seasoning them enough that when they feel real, they feel relatable, and they feel lived in. It doesn't feel like a contrivance. And I think there are people who have an excellent skill set with that and sort of an innate ability, call them the writing nerds, if you will.
Yeah.
Who've just got a feel for human emotion and how to convey that in a way that feels tangible and not artificial. And he's brilliant at it. I love his stuff to death. It's difficult to tear away from once you get back into it.
It's I would say the reason why I like his work is the same reason why I like George R.R. Martin's work, because it's very character driven. There are things that are happening, things that are beyond the character's control, but how the characters are reacting to it and how they're adapting to it is what makes for just the most interesting the drama, especially for like a book like It. Right, where they have this supernatural thing that's occurring, but these kids are like, even if it's way over their heads, they're still trying to do whatever they can based off of what they know and what they understand, and that helps them immensely. But it's the same thing as like Game of Thrones, or I'm sorry, A Song of Ice and Fire. Given that these characters, they may set up their own dilemmas and stuff that they have to later fix, but like it's at least. Like it's a lot more investing because all the characters, like, they aren't just like 1D, like flat, like boring, like I'm the Lancer, or I serve this one purpose and I'm gone. Like you said, John, each character, even if they're just a one-shot character and then they're gone, like they still have some sort of backstory to where you can understand their motivations, even if you only see them exercise their motivations once.
Yeah, it takes an absence of that kind of writing to realize how awesome it is when you have an author who approaches things in that way. Like, nothing against Neil Gaiman at all, but Graveyard Book is essentially a YA novel, and there is not a big fleshing out of every character. And that, as you'd want. Like, he drops a bunch of names from the people in the graveyard, but a lot of them are just kind of like faceless and shapeless. I get it now because they're ghosts. No, but they float in and out of the book to the point where if they return back, I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I was supposed to care.
Did you intentionally say float in and out of the book, like on purpose?
I accidentally said that. Yeah.
Okay. Stumble into grace. That's the thing I had with American Gods as well that really started irritating me. Like I said, is he throws a lot of gods that you have no frame of reference for. I feel like the book got bolstered greatly by having a visual aspect added by the television show, so that I at least have a correlative where I will remember certain characters.
Yeah,
but,
same.
I mean, other than 3 or 4 names that you're familiar with, after a while, it just becomes this weird melange of unpronounceable names, and I just don't have the mental capacity to run with it.
So thankful for the audiobook, which I just finished 2 days ago. Another one that is way better upon a repeat. But I don't think it'll be a yearly reread for me, whereas I didn't expect to enjoy The Stand a second time, and here I am thinking it might hold the test of being able to be rereadable almost on a yearly basis. I will end the book topic on my own accord by saying, oh yeah, you should definitely try it out, if not for the fact to try and nerd out on another podcast.
Yeah. That's
you
fair
still
too,
have my
also.
copy of Recursion, Shane, by Blake Crouch.
I thought you were pointing at me for a second. I'm like,
if you need reading material and you want something that is fun, sci-fi, little heavy at the end, but an overall fun ride, I would check that out.
I am well furnished with reading material at the present, having just gotten I got Salem's Lot and The Institute and The Outsider with my Amazon points. So I am well provisioned with stuff I need to catch up on, and I think King and I are back in full swing at the present.
All right.
And so I'm going to enjoy the ride whilst it lasts.
And how?
And we can say, in summation, we are most certainly dyed-in-the-wool and card-carrying constant readers at this point, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like I'm too far gone.
Now, would you gentlemen like to have Michael has a quick story he wants to throw at us before we dive into our reading for today?
I think with our time constraints, we probably have 2 chapters, maybe.
We'll see how quickly it goes here.
Michael, you had a story. It's supposed to be the funniest thing I've ever heard.
I don't really.
You're
think
doing
that,
terrific.
So anyway, I was working the other day, and one of the people came in a little bit early, and he walks up to me while I'm just making a pizza, and he's like, "So I have a quick question," and I'm like, "Okay, I have a quick answer," and he looks at me dead in the face. He's like, "Do you have aspergers?" And I'm like,
no, it's a pizza parlor. We don't serve that here.
I'm like, if it was most other people, I would be offended. But I know that you don't ask question. You don't ask offensive questions you don't ask a question without some sort of context. And then he later was like, yeah, I asked because I recently found out that I was diagnosed when I was younger with Asperger's. And I was just seeing, because you've talked about your mental conditions and having ADHD, if you have something similar. And I was like, oh, see, I knew you weren't just being offensive by just asking me randomly if I had Asperger's. You had a purpose behind it. So I wanted
to know if you're as broken as I am.
Do you remember feelings?
Michael, do you remember that guy that touched me inappropriately in the 4th grade? Because I sure don't.
Yes, I do, little Jimmy.
1, that's amazing. 2, because Shane had asked me before, I did now follow up with my brother-in-law about coming on as a guest, and he is debating it presently. He is honored to be considered. And what he noted, let's see. Oh, actually, he had a dad joke that reminded me to invite him because I feel like it would have fit in on the podcast really well.
Oh, okay.
If it's bad enough, I'm going to revoke his invitation.
So, if an incel sticks with it long enough and has the durability to really commit for a lifetime, does that make him a Duracell? Either way.
Okay, no, he's doubly invited. Why isn't he on now?
And he finishes with postscript. Either way, it's the Energizer Bunny's fault for not loving them.
Someone's lost their rabbit-ass mind over here, I think.
10 out of 10 would laugh again.
But he provided me a brief update on this the enigma that is this person on LinkedIn that he's found. And he's saying he desperately needs to finish the PowerPoint that he's started to make because the dude, Keith, had left 27 comments on his own post, alluded to his own death, and hasn't posted in a month.
What the... Oh yeah, just keep teasing us on this like guest appearance. Like I'm now really invested.
I will
and
keep
really
asking
interested.
him. I'm fairly certain that we can get him to come on, and it'll be good stuff.
Well, the best part is like as long as he has a computer with a microphone, he can talk to us. I guess he should have headphones. Probably,
he has all of these things and more.
Oh, perfect then.
He doesn't even have pets at his house, so
he doesn't even own pants.
I can almost guarantee that he will not be wearing pants. He will, I can almost guarantee, be sitting in a moon pod while recording, though, which is essentially like a single-seater love sack.
When you say love pod, I thought of the Men in Black when he was originally getting tested. Yeah. I pictured that.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think
writing on the Anyway,
the new tagline for this show is "No pants required."
I like that.
Considering that all you
can
see are our faces when we talk to each other now, you don't know. You don't know if I'm wearing pants. And the last time you guys did see what I was wearing, you made fun of me. So you're never gonna see these fucking ham hocks again. Or these,
as long as you're wearing something, I don't mind.
Clip that. Previously on My Immortal, we discovered a bonded Draco Malfoy who was absconded with by Voldemort, who had him bondage. And then Ebony and Vampire then, of course, go to Dumbledore, seeking succor and aid. Do you ask for aid and succor? And Dumbledore told them politely to go fuck themselves. And unfortunately, eventually came around to, semi-assisting in the way of he got them so stymied that they were eventually aided by Michael?
No one. They just did it themselves.
Well, if you can't help anybody, you got to help yourself.
Yeah.
Hamburger helper.
Yeah. They just teleported straight to his lair. They found the teleportation spell that they cheated through the whole dungeon, got to the end part.
Teleportation spells, a la Cadabra, yes. Well.
A la Cadabra.
And then they found.
And then they discover, of course, Snaketail.
Sorry, you're right, Snaketail.
And Snaketail, of course, is in lust with Ebony, as everyone is.
I just can't stop masticating.
Indeed, none of us can. Can't stop, won't stop. And, of course, Snaketail was very quickly dispatched, as I recall.
Stabbed in the heart and bled out.
I think she also shot at him, didn't she?
Yes. Before he revealed his love for her, so...
gun's coming in handy. Mm-hmm. And it's coming in people's asses, too. And then they, of course, untie the Draco, and they hear Voldemort ambling down the stairs and asking, who has stolen my Oreos? And so they grab and run with Draco. Subsequently, Ebony then goes on a rant about why she couldn't be, less perfect and less desirable.
Okay, it's starting to click back.
And gets terribly morose about the fact that she is a Mary Sue and everyone, just wants her greedily and lustily.
I cannot appreciate you enough for recapping, because the audience thinks that it's for them, but it's actually for me. And I know it's for you as well. But you're the one that puts the effort to having the summary. And I want you to know that I appreciate the ever-living fuck out of you every week for doing that.
I'm really desperately trying to hold this together is all that is really happening here. Because,
it makes almost as much sense as Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi.
It does, yes. And I haven't been confronted with a midget's bare ass yet, so maybe that'll
There's
happen.
time.
I have, before we start, a very important question.
Fuck off.
Does anyone, aside from myself, want to voice the next character that is going to appear? I didn't want to say it out loud to spoil it, but yes.
I mean, you can that.
Yeah, you can.
I don't care.
That.
You can parabola.
Here, I'll give you a clip.
Do the wah-wah.
Here, I'll give you a clip.
Okay, done. I will do that then.
The
Sweet.
sound that John's asshole makes when he's finished using the restroom.
Oh, I'm done now. Whoop.
Cue the bidet.
Does either of you?
Well,
I've already lost my English.
Considering we have grown up already cast, I would say it would be reasonable for him to also.
As far as I'm aware, these are different characters.
Oh, fantastic. Well, all right. Now, all right. Then how we're going to resolve this is, Michael, I want you to perform John's impression of that character then. I want your take. Give me your
I will try
flavor.
that. Okay.
All right. Well, I think without further ado, it's ready. It's about time to
we were past
proverbial
yes.
Hogsmeade pig.
Indeed. Let's get the swine flu, folks.
All right.
Chapter 16. We ran happily to Hogsmeade. There, we saw the stage where GC had played. We ran in happily. MCR were there playing Helena. I was so fucking happy! Gerard looked even sexier than he did in the pictures. Even Draco thought so. I could totally see him getting an erection, but it didn't matter, because I knew that we were the only true ones for each other. I was wearing a black leather mini dress and black leather platinum boots with red, ripped fishnets. Draco was wearing a black baggy MCR t-shirt and black baggy pants. Anyway, we start moshing to Helena. We Frenched. We ran up to the front of the band to stage dive. Suddenly, Gerard pulled off his mask. So did the others. We gasped. It wasn't them at all. It was Voldemort and the Death Dealers.
WTF, Draco? I'm not going to a concert with you.
I shouted angrily.
Not after what happened to me last time? Even if it's MCR and you know how much I lick them.
What? Because you know.
Draco gadgeted uncomfortably. Because guys don't like to talk about you-know-what.
Yeah, 'cause you know.
I yielded in an angry voice.
We won't do that again.
Draco promised.
This time we're going with an escort.
So I guess you're a prep or a Christina or what, no?
I asked.
No.
He muttered loudly.
Are you becoming a prep or what?
I shooted angrily.
Ellie, I'm not. Please, come with me.
He fell down to his knees and started singing "The World is Black" by GC to me. I was flattened, 'cause that's not even a single. He had memorized the lyrics just for me.
Okay, then I guess I will have to.
I said, and then we Frenched for a while, and I went up to my room. B. Bloody Mary was standing there.
Hajimana, she the girl?
She said happily. She speaks Japanese, so do I. That means, how do you do in Japanese?
Boy, well, that fucking pose got us bold. She fell her clear and she came in. Oh, she's gonna be Jim Bob now.
As long as we can understand what you're saying, then that's fine.
I don't think you can understand what we're reading. So I mean, in general,
fair.
Scene.
It serves that fucking bitch right.
I laughed angrily. Well, anyway, we were felling all depressed. We watched some gothic movies like Das Nightmare Before Christmas.
Maybe Willow will die too,
I said.
Kawaii.
Bloody Myrrh shook her head energetically, lethargically.
Oh yeah, her confession, she got a spell, I murdered her, and she did Lupin did it with her cuz he's a necrophiliac.
Kawaii.
I commented happily. We talked in silence for the rest of the movie.
Oh, hey, BTW. I'm going to a concert with Draco tonight in Hogsmeade with MCR. I need to wear, like, the hot set outfit ever.
I said. Bloody Murray nodded energetically.
Oh, gee, tell us, go shot.
In Hot Topic, right?
I asked, already getting out my special Hot Topic loyalty card.
No.
My head snapped up.
What?
My head spooing. I could not believe it.
But, Bloody Mary, are you a prep?
Nah.
She laughed.
I found some cool guys. I can't fucking do this anymore. This is the stupidest chapter of this entire fucking thing.
You're not wrong.
I found some cool gothic stories near Hogwarts, that's all.
Who told you about them?
I asked. Sure, it would be Draco or Diabolo or Vampire. Don't even say that name to me. Or me.
Definitely do it. Let me just call up Brahms.
Dumbledore?
I asked quietly.
Yeah, I saw the man for Hogwarts was dead. Come on, let's go.
She told me. We were going in a few punk goof stores, specially for concerts in Hogsmeade. The salesperson was OMG hotter than Gerard, except not, 'cause that's impossible! And he gave me a few dresses.
We only have these for the real goths.
The real
goths?
Me and Bloody Mary asked.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many poses there are in this town, man. Yesterday, Lupin and Snap tried to buy a gothic camera punch.
He shook his head.
I didn't even know they had a camera. Oh, Matty, no, they're gonna spy on me again.
I cried, running out of the changing room wearing a long black dress with lots of red tulle coming out and very low cut with a huge slit.
Oh my Satan, you have to buy that outfit,
the salesperson said.
Yeah, let's tell her.
Said Bloody Mary.
You know what? I'm going to give it to you free because you look really hot in that outfit. Hey, are you going to be at the concert tonight?
He asked Canadianly.
Yeah, I am actually.
I looked back at him.
Hey, BTW, my name's Ebondi Darkness Dementia Taro Way. What's yours? Tom Reed,
he said, and ran a hand through his black-dyed hair.
Maybe I'll see you there tonight. Yeah, I don't think so, 'cause I'm going there with my BF Draco, you sick perv.
I yelled angrily, but before he could beg me to go with him, Hargrid flew in on his black broom, worried. MFG Ebondi, you need to get back into the castle now.
I fucking hate you, Michael, for everything that you're putting us through.
All right.
I don't even know if it's because I don't really have a plan for Bloody, and it's just improvisational, but immediately by the end of this chapter, I felt better because you started Tom Riddle pretty normal, and I was like, I was really impressed. And then all of a sudden, you gave him a southern accent?
Well,
I tried
I
so
did
hard.
say he needed to, basically be Voldemort Jr., and he needed to do an impression of you doing an impression of Voldemort.
And
so,
I failed at that, I think, 110%.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had it, 1 out of 87 words that you spoke. You basically
But
landed.
again, 1/3 of us
Yeah, you
has
didn't
done this.
preface this at the beginning.
You can just go to the other episode and just splice it in.
Yeah, sure.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
Nah, you
let's
can
put
do
a
that.
little more work in.
Yep.
Nah.
Yeah, Michael said he would do it because he's gonna have more time.
And also,
I'll just cut that out.
now, John,
I don't know.
I spoke with you last episode for the listeners who are paying careful attention and said, what happened to Billy Quizboy? Because we've now gone from Arseface and Billy Quizboy to Drunk Sam, and I don't know why Drunk Sam is suddenly Draco Malfoy.
Okay, you know what? Chapter 17, I'll bring you back, and this is what you're expecting, right?
That's what I'm expecting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I kind of just I lost. Okay, so here's the thing. I need to pick the hills that I'm going to die on, and I got distracted because I know Voldemort in and out. Like I don't need to like even think to put that voice on.
Which is good.
I can just do it immediately.
Yes.
There you go.
But I get thrown off with all the side characters that I think I'm not going to have to voice again, and then they come back up, and then I wonder if I'm being insensitive.
Somewhat pointed, yes, I understand.
Now, with this next chapter coming up, and I feel like that's where we're going to have to leave the episode.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is
'cause
after
it's
chapter
short.
17.
Mm-hmm.
Am I supposed to know who this character coming up is, Mike?
That was the person that was literally killed in the previous episode, who Bloody Mary said that she killed her, and then let Lupin did it with her corpse because he's a necrophiliac.
Okay, cool. So you know that to close this episode, after this chapter, you're going to give us a recap of what we just read.
Yeah, I can.
And
do
you
that.
have to make it sound intelligible.
Well, I don't.
No,
anything
no.
I say is intelligible.
I'm
so
going to treat you like I
just
treat my
with that-
dogs. I'm going to keep interrupting you until you stop.
I also have to point out that we, for the glory of this ridiculous storytelling, they were at the concert. All of a sudden, it's Volodymyr and the, Limp Bizkit players. And then she's arguing with him about not wanting to go to a concert with him. And then she's arguing with B. Luddy about wanting to go to a concert later. So we're time traveling.
Also, how many fucking concerts are coming through Hog? Like, is there? It's just a 3-night thing where they're playing their only album front to back for 3 nights in a fucking row.
I have a theory concerning about that first paragraph or so. You know how in some TV shows where they show like a cut to a head and then they cut like flashback to like the normal stuff, it's almost like a teaser.
Yes, Ebony Apologist, I am familiar with the time phasing. Yeah,
I would probably call myself more of a Terra apologist. Now because now I'm just trying to defend the author's writings. But that's gonna be my headcanon for what's going on.
Okay, I just, I feel like we would get a lot further towards some form of coherency here, which I realize cohesion is not what we want with this book. Apparently, we just want to drive everyone insane, and with the misspelling and the lack of plot and, racial stereotypes and horrific writing and in general, just word vomit. That's what we're aiming for, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's about right.
Okay, it's a suicide by book is what we're angling for.
Mostly.
It's all of these little laid-in, subtle, subversive things like how many times she cuts her wrists over the course of this book. All right.
Well, without further ado, let's put this to bed.
Yes, let's do. Chapter 17. Tom Riddle gave us some clothes and stuff for free. He said he would help us with makeup if we wanted, cause he was really into fishing and stuff. He's bisexual. Hargard kept shooting at us to come back. C-U-M come to Hogwarts.
WTF, Hargrid? Fuck off, you fajucking bastard!
I shouted angrily. Well, anyway, Willow came. Hargard went away, angrily.
Hey, bitch, you look kawaii,
she said.
Yeah, but not as kawaii as you.
I answered sadly, 'cause Willow's really pretty and everything. She was wearing a short black corset thingy with blood-red lace on it, and a black blood-red miniskirt, leather fishnets, and black pointy boots that showed off how pale she was. She had a really nice body with big bobs and everything. She was thin enough to be anorexic.
So are you going to the concert with Draco?
She asked.
Yeah.
I said, happily.
I'm going with Diablo.
She answered, happily. Well, anyway, Draco and Diabolo came. They were both locking extremely hot and sexy, and you could tell they hoofed. We were ought to. Diabolo was wearing a black t-shirt that said 666 on it. He was wearing tons of makeup, just like Marilyn Manson. Draco was wearing black leather pants, a gothic black GC t-shirt, and black Vans he got from the Warped Tower. Bloody Mart was going to the concert with Dracula. Dracula used to be called Navel, but it turned out that he was kidnapped at birth and his real family were vampire. They died in a car crash. Navel converted to Satanism, and he went goth. He was Slytherin now. He was wearing a black Warped t-shirt, black jeans and shoes, and black hair with the red streakers in it. We call him Dracula now. Well, anyway, we all went to Draco's black mercy bands. Get it? 'Cause we're that his dad Lucian gave him. We did pot, coke, and crack. Draco and I made out. We made fun of Dos stupid fucking preps. We soon got there. Agapsid. Gerard was the sexiest guy Eva. He looked even sexier than he did in pics. He had long Raven Blake hair and piercing blue eyes. He was really skinny and had an amazing ethnic voice. We moshed to Helena and some Otter songs. Suddenly, Gerard pulled off his mask. So did the other members. I gasped. It wasn't Gerard at all. It was an ugly preppy man with no nose and red eyes. Everyone ran away but me and Draco. Draco and I came. It was Voldemort and the Death Dealers.
You moronic idiots!
He shooted, angstily.
Inabi, I told you to kill vampire. Thou have failed, and now I shall kill thou and Draco.
No!
No,
No, please!
We begged sadly, but he took out his knife. Suddenly, a gothic old man flew in on his broomstick. He had long black hair and a long black bread. He was wearing a Blake robe that said Avril Lavigne on the back. He shotted a spell, and Voldemort ran away. It was Dumbledore.
I'm gonna throw my fucking phone against the wall. That, I don't know. I might be shaking my core. I just think maybe this is someone who might be a little diminished writing this book. Maybe
I think it might be someone I should ask if they have Asperger's.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Hey, do you have Asperger's?
That is fucking painful. And if you're listening to this, I don't know why.
The Tarantino, time travel sandwich theory, Michael, we've now done this to ourselves twice where she's just, throwing random chunks in. Either this is someone who doesn't understand how copy-paste works or too acutely understands how copy-paste works.
It's baffling. So why don't you sum up these two chapters, which I feel like it's been a lifetime since we started.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that really quickly.
Please do.
So,
Crake is a hell of a drug.
Yes, it is. I did some earlier. That's why I'm wired and ready to go. So, chapter 16 starts out with a shot to the future where Draco and Ebony are at the concert, listening to Gerard, whatever, Mr. Way. I don't know why. I'm just not going to pronounce his name right. I can't.
Continue.
I can't.
You can
anyway,
find him on the Waze app. It's fine.
Yes. he pulls off his face, and he's Velocimort and the Death Dealers. Cut back to...
All in one person. He's Velocimort and the Death Dealers.
Yes, true. Fair enough. Him and the other members of his band. Okay. So, cut back to the right after chapter 15 when Draco asks Ebony to the concert, and she says no. She is afraid that they will have sex, even if they have sex every 2-3 chapters. And so Draco promises in his very inaudible or unintelligible language that he is getting he will bring an escort, to which Ebony completely shoots that down and calls him a prep. So then apparently they still decide to go. Then
is
later,
he protecting her by bringing a prostitute?
Apparently so.
Sorry,
I mean,
sex worker.
He's gonna have sex somehow. So whether it's Ebony or the escort,
he's gonna cuck Ebony. It's great.
Yes,
in one way or another.
So then later, Ebony and Bloody Mary go to not Hot Topic, but a local store to buy clothes for said concert.
Well, you should buy local.
Yes, exactly. # buy local. Then they run into Tom Riddle, who has, as far as I'm aware, no affiliation currently with this Voldemort. They go shopping for a bit. Hagrid shows up. End of chapter 16. Chapter 17, they tell Hagrid to fuck off. Willow appears, who I failed to mention was killed, and then her body was defiled by Lupin in chapter 16. Mm-hmm. Then they, Tom Riddle gives them stuff for free, and then they go to the concert. We are introduced to, it was spelled navel, but it's Neville. It is Neville from the books. Uh-huh. Neville is Dracola, and then, if I recall correctly, Ronald Weasley is Diabolo.
Correct.
They all go with, so it's Ebony, Draco, Bloody Mary, Diabolo, Willow, and then Dracola. The 6 of them go to the concert. Goes off without a hitch until the lead singer, whose name I will not try and pronounce, pulls off his mask along with the other members. And turns out that it's actually not Velocimort and the Death Dealers, it's Voldemort and the Death Dealers. Everyone runs away except for Ebony and Draco, because apparently they just have that deer in the headlights syndrome about them. Especially considering that they're not trying to get killed by him. Actually, considering how often they try and slit their wrists and commit suicide, you can't even tell with these characters anymore. Right before Voldemort kills them, Dumbledore appears in completely decked out in black with an Avril Lavigne robe, and shots a spell, and Voldemort runs away.
Shotted, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
now the task was to make that make sense.
Yeah. You took away all of the terrible voice acting and the amazing narration and shitty writing, but you didn't make any sense. But I don't feel like it actually needs to. And speaking of making sense, do you know what we haven't done, and we can really Martin Scorsese this before we get out of here?
An intro?
We can tell them the podcast that they did listen to today.
Maybe the intro can also be the outro. Maybe I'll just play the intro and outro music overlapping each other just so it sounds like ass.
So you're trying to make this podcast into the sequel to My Immortal?
I am going to try and find since my only job that I have in this podcast is the music now, I'm going to try and find a royalty-free lullaby version of 43% Burnt by the Dillinger Escape Plan. For the namesake, and also because we had 43% Michael today.
I don't understand any of those references, and I'm just going to say, okay, as long as you can prove to me that it is royalty-free, then by all means we'll do it.
Well, I didn't expect you to follow up, so now I'm going to give that up.
What?
Shane's gonna kill
and I'm
himself.
Michael.
Shane, stay with me, baby. Don't do that. Put the knife down.
Okay, now he's really off-putting, staring at the camera. I'm picturing like one of those more recent horror movies.
Is that a plate
like
of
Unfriended
poutine?
And stuff? Oh no! Why are you pulling your pants down?
Well,
now
Michael.
I want to watch Unfriended.
So, thank you all for sticking with us here and listening to the Disinformed podcast. And I hope that you've all enjoyed, this, oddly emotional and strangely didactic episode, and then this plate of drizzling piss that has been My Immortal again. But anything else we want to add before we, twist the head off of this doll and put it to rest?
As much as I hate My Immortal, it is nice to have something cemented onto the back half of all of these episodes. And even though I know that it's probably going to end in one of our personal devices being smashed, Michael,
Hey!
I do feel like I'm going to be sad once we're done making an audiobook for something that no one will or has ever asked for.
When did Michael become your personal device?
Since he started, since he got his hair cut.
All right. Well, I think before we go, I have one final thing, and I think I was tasked with pulling this as a regular occurrence, and I feel like I've outdone myself because I now have a 4-page document full of things that we will have seeded for future episodes, and so our recurring bit is going to begin today, gentlemen. And we don't have to start it immediately, but I want to give you a soupçon, a little taste of things to come. So this is our first edition of Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Oh my god.
Ooh. Okay, all right.
Now,
I'm good.
from our subcategories of Fuck, Marry, Kill, I would like you all to pick one. We have Killer Edition, Dictator Edition, Presidential Edition, Wizard Edition, Witch Edition, Jedi Edition, Archie Edition, Comics Edition, and Music Edition.
Jedi.
Sure.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you this one because it'll be the layup here. But I have one that is deep cuts Jedis for those that want to get dyed in the wool here. Yes.
Oh, no.
Pun intended.
I might not know any of them.
So, the first one, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mace Windu.
Can I have them all sodomize me at the exact same time?
And I'm going to throw the caveat out here that I have already used the fuck them all kill myself. That
I was
has been removed from the
here,
record.
Yeah, from here on out, that
Yes,
is
we
the
have to
only
make
rule we
decisions.
have for the segment is that you cannot use that answer.
Yes.
I have mine.
Yeah, go for it. I think I have
I
mine.
would
need to
fuck
think of-
Mace Windu. I would kill Anakin Skywalker, and I would marry Obi-Wan.
And
down.
why?
I feel like Mace Windu would probably be the best that I've ever had, considering that when I watched the movies for the first time, that purple lightsaber just titillated me to no end. Anakin, or Mannequin, has always been such a boring fucking character to me that I would love nothing more than just to murk him out of existence. And you'd marry Obi-Wan because Ian McGregor.
Of
and
course.
Ian McGregor.
All right. I mean, that's reasonable. Michael?
I wish I went first because I was gonna. I want to co-opt that, but okay.
I mean,
I will give.
We're all going to give the same answer here for entirely
Yeah.
Wait,
different
we're to
reasons.
yes.
No,
I believe so.
I'm gonna say yes. I was originally thinking of fucking switching Anakin and Mace Windu, only because Anakin has so much passion. But then I realized that he probably hasn't really. He has so much emotion.
He kills children.
That's very emotional.
And women.
Very emotional.
I mean, he only
but
choked her for about 20 minutes. It's different. That's, just foreplay for most people.
he forgot the safe word. But then I also realized that he probably has like no sexual experience, so like it would just be all sorts of anger and frustration and gone to waste. So this was literally occurring in my head when John was talking. So I would switch back. I would kill Anakin, and I feel like Mace Windu would be able to understand things and be able to guide us. And then you're right, it's Obi-Wan. Just
If you're looking on the emotional spectrum of characters, Mace Windu has a significant amount of rage, a significant amount of understanding, and a significant amount of pizzazz. Call it
You're
panache.
right.
But he is not a vengeful Jedi. He's not a Sith. He's a Jedi. So I feel like he would still be a passionate lover and for God's sakes, he was Shaft. If that is not a man that's going to show you a good time in bed, you're going to get it. So give me all the Windu, face, neck, and chest. Hit me with that purple lightsaber.
Also, he's bald. You can throw a wig on him.
No. I mean, he's bald. He and I can start by vigorously rubbing all four of our heads together. Take any sequence you want. Bald on bald action.
In this moment, I wish that we had moderate fame. Because if there was some random person that drew a caricature of you and Mace Windu naked rubbing fucking tips of both forehead and dickheads, I would buy that for $100,000.
All I'm saying is that is the lightsaber fight that everyone has been wanting to see. It's he and I with the get that fucking shit over here.
It would put the lightsaber kid to shame. That's for sure.
Indeed. I might cut my leg off with it. Now, Anakin Skywalker, yes, we have all wanted to kill that son of a bitch, and if we have had anything that has been proven out by the canon of Star Wars is he's better off dead.
Very true. Very true.
And, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the master of Zen, everyone's grandfather. That man is a delicate and caring lover, and you know he's full of compassion, and he will be with you always.
Yeah.
So that, ladies and germaphobes, is our first edition of Fuck, Marry, Kill, and I'm sure that you're really going to appreciate all of these other subcategories that I've got going here. Killer edition, I am like 12 strong here already.
I'm looking. I didn't want to say that one because I want to save it. You know, I'm Asher with the separation anxiety that even though it doesn't matter, like it'll replenish. I don't want to waste it yet.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Don't blow your load on the first try.
Yeah, I have one that I guarantee is one of my favorite closers of all time, and I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to hearing answers on this one. But
beautiful.
There's just a little bit of the tip for all of you for the future Fuck, Marry, Kills.
I appreciate you doing that.
I try. You know, I want to make this a fertile ground for all of us to plow and marry and tend and then kill. So...
Right.
For the aforementioned Disinformed podcast, I am Shane.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
Thank you all for sticking around. We sincerely appreciate it. And thanks for coming. Don't worry. Willow will clean it up. Because she's buxom and sexy. And
Big Bob.
Isn't it kawaii?
And I'm also a neckful.
Later, Duracells.